Siyata Dishmaya, perhaps we could take the Olam back to an aura that I shared a couple of months back, and with Siyata Dishmaya we'll introduce yet an additional ha'ara this evening. So let's take a look at Maseches Brochas in the first perek, Daf Yud Aleph Amud Beis. This is the famous sugya that revolves around the nusach of Birchas HaTorah, and we have three different shittas. The Gemara asks the kasha in the middle of Yud Aleph Amud Beis, Mai Mavarech, what precisely is the nusach of Birchas HaTorah? Three man the Yomrim. Number one, Amr B'Yud Amr Shmuel, Hasher Kedushanim Esveitzim Tzimanu La Sok B'Divrei Torah. Man the Yomr number two, Rabbi Yochanan, Messiah B'Hochi, Harav Nosham Okenu Estivri Sorelska B'Finu, B'Vivios Amch B'Yisovani Anachna V'Tzetzeinu V'Tzetzei Amch B'Yisov Kolani Yodei Shemecha, V'Yoske or V'Lomnei Tzorsecha, Baruch Ata Hashem Amlami Torah Li'ama Yisrael. Man the Yomr number three, Rav Hamnuna Amar Hashem B'Chabani Mikol Omem V'Nasalanu Estaroso, Baruch Ata Hashem Nosein HaTorah, Amar Rav Hamnuna Zoi Mulu Sheba Brachas. This is the choice one. This is the most choshev in them all. Hilkach, again, different nuschos, and Rav Papa, who very often in Shas is here to make shalom. Kayadua, one of the reasons we mentioned all the sons of Rav Papa by Yahadrin. Am Rav Papa, Hilkach, Lemrina Lakulu. Haminayim Afkis, which one should we take out? We have number one, Rabbi Yudah Mashul Lasik, V'divrei Torah. We have number two, Rabbi Yochanan, Harav Nosham Okenu. Number three, Rav Hamnuna, Asher B'Chabani Mikol Amim. And again, it's a big deal of these. Birchas HaMitzvah, Birchas Shvach Hodah, Birchas HaNenen, Efshar, the Inyan of Harav that's the idea of the Lavush and Birchas HaTorah and Orchaim Simin and Hamzayin. It's involved in the Haggadah. It's a Geder of Birchas HaNenin, Birchas Tamanayim and Aleph also Lenes Miyolam Azab LaBroch. If you're going to get the Hana, the Geshmak of learning, famous Eglei Tal and the Zagdama, the Shlo Ready Maseches Shavuos, Rabbeinu Amen Ahar and the Dorm of Chesed and Alpha Mitzvahs, Lav Lahanis and Inu. But the Torah is Lahanis and Inu. So we're making Mamash Abrocha and getting Hana from the Torah in the Stipler and Kildas Yaakov and Brocha Simon Chabeis. This is a gather of a Birchas HaTorah, the Taz, in Hayordei as well. Simon Reish Chaval Sif Kotam Mem Gimel, the idea of a Birchas HaNenin, that's a Haram. And then, of course, Asher B'Chabanu, we have the idea of Rav Hamnuna, Asher B'Chabanu Mikolam Amenasal and Taroso. So it's a big deal in the Achonim and Cheschinach and Rav Achonim and others. Is the Briskarov, Birchas HaShvach, Ve'odah, Birchas HaMitzvah. After we have Gedorim, when you have all three brachas together, and that's how we pass, and we have all the different brachas. So with Siyata Dishmaya, I wanted to suggest a couple of months back that each man the Omer is mamash l'shita. So if the Gemara asks the kasha, throwing it out to the base Feiner one day, Hamay Mavarech, what is the nusach of Birchas HaTorah? We have number one, Rabbi Yehuda, who obviously was Mashamei Rav, he was Mashamei Shmuel. So often throughout Shas, he is quoting things he heard in the name of Shmuel. Amr B'Yud Shmuel. What's the choice? Nusach HaBracha Shmuel said, Lasik B'Divrei Torah. Now, Feiner, it's very geshmak. Why? We have a famous Taz. The Taz writes in Birchas HaTorah. And Simon Zayin and Sivkot and Aleph writes the Taz. What's the lotion of Lasik B'Divrei Torah? The idea of Yegiah and Tirchana Melus B'Torah. Famous Briskarov, you got to make it your ASIC, you got to make it your business, you have to be Shakua, Halagamri and Talmud Torah. Rashi even says in Brachas Davav on the base, Igud Shmais the Svara. Zogt Rashi wants succinct statement. What's the Svara? Zogt Heilig Rashi Sheyoga v'Torach Umachashev Lahavin Talmei HaTorah Lahavin Divrei Torah. Say Yemiyageya Yematarech Yemachashev. Rashi doesn't waste words. It's the Yegiya, the Amelis, the Tircha, the blood, sweat, and guts. That's the Yikar Schar that you get for Talmud Torah. The Sukkot Shabbat even writes, and his haskama to the Kli Chemdas, Sefer Chemdas Yisrael, Ikar Hatzlochen, a person's learning is Ayadei, the Amelus B'Torah. That's a lotion of Lasuk B'Divrei Torah. You got to mamish, make it your asik. So the Feiner, it's very geshmak. Why? We have two Gemaras and Ksuvas. The first one, on 43b, Mem Gimel Amud Beis, it says that Shmuel was called the Shakdan. He was the Shoked. He was Shoked, Rashi says, Al Delosas HaTorah. He was the Shakdan. What's the term that was coined in Rabbi Yoshev? Biography is even called the Shakdan. He was the quintessential Masmid. That's Shmuel. Shmuel was the Shakdan. Hence, Shmuel says, "What nusach should make Birchas HaTorah? Lasuk, you got to make it your asek." But he's not done Lasuk b'divrei Torah. As the Chayonim is Medayik, arguing with his Mechut in the Gra. Yes, the Gra adds in his Bira Gra. And Birchas HaTorah v'hegyon libi. Yilrot tzin reifi v'hegyon libi l'menachan in Yeshua and Parakal Pasaches v'agisu yom alayla. You see, you Mekayim divrei Torah even with Higayon, but the Yikar Nusach HaChazal was coined al Yadei Lasuk b'diburim shel Torah lasik b'divrei Torah erev v'nadala namarav chayim l'motzayim chayim heim l'motziyim b'peh. It's got to be lasik with divrei Torah. I in the Gemara in Maseches Ksubas Daf Ayin Zayin Amud Aleph, and it says Shmuel lo chochoch mipi lo Torah was always yotzi mipi. Rashi says he never stopped uttering words of Torah. So what do you see? He was number one. He was the masmid. Number two, he never stopped speaking Torah, not stopped thinking and learning. The praise in Ksubas Ayin Zayin about none other than Shmuel himself is he never stopped uttering words of Torah. The Feiner very geschmack. Shmuel says you got to make a bracha of Torah. What's it going to be? Lasok, make it your asik, the shaktin that he was, and lasok b'diburim, and the diburim, in the words of Torah. He never stopped speaking the words of Torah. Not Shmuel. Well, let's skip to Rav Hamnuna. Rav Hamnuna, what do we know about Rav Hamnuna? Let's go to the end of Lulav Agosel, the third parak of Masechah Sukkah, at the bottom of Mem Beis and Aleph. And the Gemara says that Kaltana Yadei L'daber, you have to teach him what? Torah v'Kriya Shema. Torah Mahi. Kriya Shema is the Pasuk Rishon. And what's Torah? Torah Tzivolana Moshe Marasha Kilas Yaakov. Azot Rav Hamnuna, he's the Bala Memro. What's the Torah that you teach a child? Tahaina, what chelik in Torah is the first chelik in Torah that every Yiddish child has to know? He's got to know Torah Tzivolana Moshe. It's the Marasha, the inheritance, Davka for Kilas Yaakov. So very good. What Rav Hamnuna, my Mevorach, you know what bracha he's going to say? Hashabachabonavi kolam v'nasolanu estaraso. Davka lefini estaiter of Hamnuna l'shitoso. And then from Yochanan we go to a Sefer Siach Tzvi. Rav Tzvi Hirschferber in 1959 in London they published this Gewaltige Sefer by Rav Tzvi Hirschferber called Siach Tzvi, page 22. He writes as follows. Rabbi Yochanan tells us the bracha. By the way, the only time we ever have a bracha, whether you call it brachas hashvach or brachas hamitzvah, where we daven not only for ourselves but for our children in the context of the bracha itself. Why is he madgish? Why turn the spotlight not only on yourself but even on your children? Right to the Siach Tzvi, because Rabbi Yochanan is the Bala Memram of a Mitzvah Pehayim and Aleph, and that says based on the pasuk Lo Yomash HaTorah Mipicha Mipi Zaracha Mipi Zerazaracha that we say from the Navi every day. And Uvalatzian Chuta Meshulus. So here you know take Kohelas Dalad Yud Beis, and we know that Hu Tamachacham Benot Tamachacham Benot Tamachacham. Then Chuta Meshulus, you got Torah in your family forever. Who's the Bala Memram? Rabbi Yochanan. Very good. Rabbi Yochanan wants to tell us that if your son and your grandson, if your children are also Timinacham, then you'll have Torah. So he says, "I, my Mavarach, what should be the bracha? Daven one Haram now, not only for you. Divrei Torah b'Feiner b'Vios Avcha b'Yisomani Anacham v'Tzetzeinu v'Tzetzei. Givaldik. So you can have the Chuta Meshulus Rabbi Yochanan. If we add on to that ha'ara of the Siach Tzvi, it's very geschmack. Why is Rabbi Yochanan the only Amayra to ever give us a nusach of bracha of davening for one's children and grandchildren, and the nusach of the bracha itself, the Feiner because Rabbi Yochanan is the one in Maseches Brachas Tafayim the base who lost all 10 children in his lifetime. Now again, the Magen Chanoshim as an Arichas, Efshar, one of his children might have been alive, but the pashtus of the Sigim Brachas is he lost all 10 children. He used to carry either the tooth or the bone. Dain Groma Dasira Beer used to carry it together with him. He used to show it to people. He machazek them. Here he lost all his 10 children. Yochanan is the one to tell. So by side, don't wait. You never know how long your children are going to live for. You might not have an opportunity. He's the one to say daven not just for you, daven for your children, that you should have the schus of learning with your children. Who's going to turn the spotlight on children? None other than Rabbi Yochanan, who can I know had 10 children. He lost them all in his lifetime. Rabbi side, don't lose those golden opportunities. Chaparayim when you can and teach your children Torah. So those are the three man the Amr and the three l'chayra l'shitasa. So I'd like to add another nakuda this evening. V'reshuschem v'siyata d'shmai. We have a Gemara Megillah Alamad Beis Amad Aleph, and the Gemara says, Am Rabbi Yochanan, and this is the close of Maseches Megillah. Am Rabbi Yochanan kol kori below ne'ima. V'shona below Zimra. Anyone who was learning Mikra without the trop, the Tamei Mikra, she says, and you're learning Mishnayis Gemara without the Zimra, you're not singing it. All of a kasomer yecheska parachav gamanina satilam chukum lo tovim. You show you that you don't like the mitzvahs to not keshmak to you. If you love something, you sing it. Erev v'nadal chayim heim l'motzim chayim l'motzim b'peh. You want to be motzi, but not just to be motzi b'peh. You want to sing it. You want to make a lebedik. So the Baalei Ataisus tell us givaldik. Shona below Zimra, Zokta Hele Gabali Tosa Shayi Regilin, the Shonos and Mishnayis Bezimra. They would go ahead and sing the Mishnayis with the Gavaldige Zemer. The Fishayi Shonin Osal Peh, Aide Kacha Yunuskorim Yeser. After all, remember, until Rabbi Yehuda Nasi came along and Darshan Eislas Hashem Efer Tosecha, they were learning everything about Peh. How did they remember everything? They would put it to a Nigid. Parenthetically, we have the famous Teferes Yisrael, right? So Teferes Yisrael and Erchin, Perek Dalin Mishnah Aleph in the Boaz and Os Aleph, Zokta. So, you know why we find in Shas Chisuri Mechsura and those who have Zeus? Why do we find Chisuri Mechsura? So there are at least 8 different explanations why we have Chisuri Mechsura. Chitani, the Tanam left out words. Zoktet Versrul, Alpi Taisis. Since they used to remember the Mishnayis by singing it to a Nigid, so they put it to a tune. If you put the Mishnah, the Daf Gemara to a tune, sometimes it doesn't match, it doesn't stim. So you got to drop a word so that it can go ahead and stim with the music. It's got to stim with the beat. So if you're going to put it to the tune of Yom Mechubad, and it's not going to work, it's not going to work so you got to drop a word so that it fits the niggin so you'll remember it better. He says based on Taisus, that's one of the 8 different shotim to Chesur Mechseros. So what do you see, Rabbi Yochanan? You got to sing things, you got to sing with a niggin. What's this all about? What? If you love it and it's geschmack, you got to sing it. Otherwise it shows, it demonstrates chukum lo tovim. If you love something, how do you not sing it? How do you not get up and dance? Famous Meister of Gifter, when a Talmud in the Shir asked a Bam Kasha one time in Tulsa, Cleveland, soon after he was brought over from Eretz Yisrael, and he was saying shir, and somebody said a Gavaldige Kashi, he excused himself for a minute. So they thought maybe the Magachi had to use the restroom, and somebody followed him to his office. He went to his office, they were peering through the keyhole, and he was dancing Lebedik. He did a Geshmak Rakida, and they saw him give the dancing. He comes out, they said, Rebbe, what's going on, Peshadvarim? He says, I figured you American Bachrim, I was so taken, it was such a Geshmak Chidish, it's a Bam Kasha. I had to celebrate, I had to dance right away to show the image how happy I was. But if I was going to start dancing in front of you American Bachim, you would have thought a Rebbe's Meshuggah. What was a European learned to tell us it's Meshuggah? So I had to do it privately, but I couldn't hold back. Rav Hudaman came back from a chassan of Tanei Yisrael. Once at midnight, he saw some Bachim still learning in the Beis Rosh. He said, "Nu Zagavar, tell me your Shtukul Torah." And he told him Shtukul Torah. Rav Hudaman was so taken. He says, "Rabbi, say everybody up and out of your seats. We got to dance. We got to celebrate it. When you dance, you got to say, oh, then it's Geshmak." Rabbi, say, who's the one to teach God's Klai Yisrael the Dorei Doros? That when you're learning, you got to sing, you got to dance. It's got to be with the Zimra, with the Neimus. It's Rabbi Yochanan. If it comes to my Mavarach, what's in the Eytan, who do you think is going to tell us? What bracha should you ask for? V'harav, no, I want to taste the sweetness. Who's the one to say, I want to taste the sweetness? Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan's Gufa. That if you're learning and you don't show the sweetness, then you're highlighting, the chukum lo tovim. So Dr. Rav Yochanan the Feiner Taiti is want to be machadesh the harav no shemol king. But Rabbi say it gets better. Okay, in the less than 30 seconds remaining, very quick, let's fasten up our seatbelts. We have a shlo kodesh chelik yaser sedibus meseches tamid os kufrin beis, and the shlo says that Purim and Chanukah, the 2 Yom Tovim Torah Shabbat, 2 Yom Tovim Torah Shabbat. That's the focus. It's got to be Torah Shabbat. Chanukah and Purim, the 2 Yom Tovim Derabanan that are be'etzim bebechinas Torah Shabbat. You got to focus on Torah Shabbat. Now, Rabbi say, we all know these are the Yom Tovim Torah Shabbat, and many would echo the Shlo Kodesh for generations. This is you got to be margish, you got to emphasize Torah Shabbat. So, what is Torah Shabbat? The Amelis, the Yigiyah, the Tircha. What happens? Chanukah. Let's end second Seder early. Let's have everybody go light. Us of Ganiyot and Latkes, and we'll have Chanukah Mesivas Purim. Yes, there's Yeshivas Mordechai Yehudim. Gewaldige take off time and out. It's Yemei Mishnah Simcha. I say these are the days of Torah Shabbat. Chanukah, close, stop the Mesivas. Purim, stop them. This is the day, sit and learn. So the 2 days that they're all about Torah Shabbat. What do? We dance and we sing and we drink and we make. What's going on here? Feiner Taiti, the Pshat is Azoi. We have a beautiful horror by, I can't believe I'm answering the kasha with Likutei Maran. Well, Uman's in my mind these days. Russia, Ukraine, Uman's in everybody's mind these days. How can you not quote a Likutei Maran? Allah Samul Dalet. So basically Likutei Maran, what emerges is as follows. Famous kasha, it says in Mitzrayim, by Yamein Ha'am, they already believed. So what's the new Darga when it comes to Shira Sayam, Amin of Hashem, Moshe Abdo? They already believe. So what's the Rabusanaka? What's the Chiddush? If Chaisel already believed in Rabbi Shalom, Teretz says they believe believe that Amunah b'seichel, but not Amunah b'chush. You can have Amunah and your intellect, but to get Amunah b'chush, believe, that's all different ballgame. We mentioned many times, Rabbi Yosef Chaim, the Ben Ish Chai, writes in his Ben Yoda, the Anamakis, Chavdalanav, Bochavok, and the Midan Alachas, Gans, Tari, Gemitzis, they're all meyusid and mavusas on what? Tzadik b'manosu yichye. Zog the Ben Yoda, what tzadik b'manosu? Tzadik ima manosu yichye. Not base. To be a tzadik, you have to have two Amunas. Amunah up here in the realm of the intellect, but it's got to sink down. The longest distance journey in the world is from the brain to the heart. It's got to be b'chush, it's got to be belief, you got to live it. So a tzaddik is Gematria 204, writes the Ben Yoda. A tzaddik needs what? Not ima manosu. Tzadik b'manosu, beis amunos. He needs Amunah in the head, he needs Amunah in the heart. Amunah is Gematria 102. Zog the Ben Yoda, where you have Amunah in the head, 102, Amunah in the heart, 102. 102 and 102 is 204. Gematria exactly tzaddik. You want to be a tzaddik? Beis amunoso yichya. You need the two amunos up here and up here. That's the longest journey. Say, yes, V'amein we saw the Makis, but what? Yeah, we believe. We believed it intellectually. Only when we sang it. As Yoshir Moshe, Zok the Ranachim Resav, when you sing it, when you sing something, you make it come alive. The kol is ma'or, the kavana kayadua, Rabbeinu Yonah, Chamos Kaf Yates, and Rezu Shmuel Levi, Kol Omar Omar Yeheshmei Rabba, V'chol Kocho, Machlokes Rashi Taitzer, Rabbeinu Yonah, Kol Kavanoso, Kol Kocho, but either way, the Rishonim explained that the kol is ma'or, the kavana meet the sign the Bechor Shor, and the Gemara Megillah, Lamed Beis and Aleph. When you sing it b'kol, that's more that allows it, Zok to Nachman, it allows the information to go from the brain into the heart. How does any chokhmah penetrate to the recesses of the soul? Ayadei nigid. When you sing it and you dance it as Yosha Moshe, and you take out the instruments, what does it do? It takes the Amunah in the Seichel and the Rosh, and it penetrates into the Neshama. Ad kan likutei man. The Feiner staiti, what's going on is as follows. Rabbi says, Simchas Torah. What do we do? Simchas Torah. Let's celebrate the Torah. So what do? We dance. We dance all day. How much time is there for learning at Simchas Torah? How much time is there for learning on Purim? How much time is there Chanukah? Yom talking that all about Torah Shapel. Let's celebrate it. And what do we do? We're dancing, we're singing. What's going on? The Feiner staiti. When you get to Zmonim Yuchodim, Zmonim Mesugolim for Liman Torah, and for Torah Shapel B'frat, yes, we're learning all year long, but these are Zmanim to do what? To take the Chochmas HaTorah from the brain and to allow it to penetrate into the soul. How do you do that? Sometimes you need to have a Thursday night kumsitz, and you need to have from Bragins. Isn't it Bittul Torah? What do you mean? Singing, having a kumsitz. A kumsitz singing on Imam, and isn't it Bittul Torah? It's not Bittul Torah. Why? Because when you're singing that kumsitz Thursday night with the chulent, and the potato could go, you know what happens over there, then you live it. You can think on Imam and all you want intellectually. When you sing it and you got the guitar playing in the background and the lights are dimmed, and then you're singing on Imam and you're crying the tears with on Imam, then you feel the Imam, and it's a whole dargo acheres legamri. When you sing it and you dance with it, you can love the Torah. All the chokhmah could be up there, the Feiner daiti. When you have choice yom tov, what's that? It's meant for not just learning, but it's what? Allowing the chokhmah, ayadei, the kol, the ne'ima, the shira, the zimra, and the rakidas to go from the brain into the heart, because when you dance with it, you dance, it shakes down into the whole body, and you feel the Torah all over your Eivarim. It goes, sinks into the guf and sinks into the neshama. When you sing it, you make the Torah come alive. If you look, you saw the Rabbi Yosef 3-hour video. What makes him the shock that he's singing it? He's singing with a kol, with the zemer. He's living it, not just singing it. It's going from the brain into the chush, and he lived, eat, slept, and breath to breathe the Torah. That's the whole var. The Feiner staiti. Yes, that's what Chanukah Purim is. Chanukah Purim Yom Tov Ramona. You know what you do? You take all that Chochmah Torah Shapeh, and now you got to sing it, the Mishnah Simcha, celebrate it, dance with it, do Rakidus and Shira and Zimra, and allow it to go and penetrate to the thing. That's Rabbi Yochanan. I tell you, Birchas Torah, you want to be Kohen of the Torah, it's got to be predicated, it's got to start with the V'har of Nam Shemakin, it's got to be sweet. Why does it have to be sweet? And not just for you. You want to perpetuate it, it's got to be sweet for you, your children, your grandchildren. Let's be mamshich the kavala. When you're learning, it's got to be with the zimra, it's got to be with an emes. And where do you think that's going to be at the end of Megillah? Mesechus Megillah starts at the top of Vavam Rabbi Zakati Matzasi Tamid. Rabbi Yitzchak tells us, yes, Shabbos Peichesem and Aleph, Megillah Hada Kiblu Me'ach Hashverosh. What do we receive? Al Pi the Menach Chuma. We got Torah Shapeh. Comes the end of Megillah, the end of Purim. What's the last sugya at the end of Megillah. On the Lamed Beis, the Lamed Beis, by the way, the heart. You want to live it in your heart. On the bottom of Lamed Beis, how do you sink it to the heart? Comes Rabbi Yochanan to the rescue at the end of Megillah, Purim time. This is the Spitz. Torah Shopeh Hadar Kiblu Me'ech HaShverish. How do you celebrate? Get up and dance and sing it and celebrate it so you can have it sink from the moach into the lave. That's the avodah, the Feiner night of Purim, and that's Dafka Rabbi Yochanan, Roy Advorm Lemisha Amram, Rabbi Yochanan Shitoso, all around. It all comes together. Have a gavaldig nacht and a great rest of the weekend.